Hi, I'm Deletna Dawalko here with your daily English news. 12 IDPs, including 7 children, die of lack of food and medicine at the IDP camp in Shire and Dasilase. Northern Ethiopia experiencing major catastrophes in their IPC Phase 5 at the household level. Somalia rejects reconfigured AMISOM's mandate change in proposal. Tigrayans internally displaced from Western Tigray say they are suffering due to lack of food and medicine. 12 people so far have died, including 7 of them being children. The IDPs now sheltered in Shire and Dasilase said they were evicted from their homes in Western Tigray by the Ethiopian and Eritrean armies as well as the Amhara forces. Letayrisom used to live a good life in Western Tigray until the 6th of November of 2020, when everything turned upside down with the invasion and occupation of their land by Ethiopian and Eritrean armies, as well again as the Amhara forces.
We moved out on November 6, 2020, leaving all our farmland and other property. My husband is retired and has disabilities. After fleeing our area, we crossed over to my Hansa and stayed there for some time. In February, when most of the population of Western Tigray were forced out of their land in mass, we came here to Shire. We couldn't even bring along our clothes. The clothes I am wearing is a donation from the residents of Shire and Dasilase.
Another IDP, Hasai Asafa, lamented he and his co-patriots have lost everything and no one is reaching out to help them.
We're experiencing immense suffering since November 2020. We came here empty-handed as the Ethiopian army and the Amhara forces looted our property. So far, we have not received any humanitarian access. We have no access to health services.
Children from Western Tigray were not spared from these injustices, including killings, imprisonments, as well as forced evictions.
After the war started, we had stayed for a while in our area. The Fano and other Amhara forces used to come to our homes with knives and machetes and threaten to kill us, labeling us as Junta Tigray. They came back one night and told us to leave the area or risk being slaughtered. Although we had nowhere to go and had wanted to stay, we were left with no option but leave our area to save our lives.
The IDPs were interviewed by Tigray TV, called on the international community to come to their rescue.
We haven't received food aid yet. Our biggest threat is disease. There are people with chronic ailments and children separated from their parents here. Many of them are dying due to the lack of medicine. So far, 7 children and 5 elderly people have died.
Ethiopian and Eritrean armies, as well as the Amhara forces, have been conducting a systematic campaign of ethnic cleansing under the cover of war in the Western Tigray, where tens of thousands of people are unaccounted for and over 1 million of people are either displaced or internally fled to Sudan. Northern Ethiopia is said to be experiencing a catastrophe of the IPC Phase 5 level at the household level. According to the Famine Early Warning Systems Network, Tigray remains the region of greatest concern in Ethiopia. Data already showed extreme outcomes in the mid-2021, and further deterioration is expected amidst the severe humanitarian constraints. Timnit Bayru has more.
Multiple reports have indicated increasing levels of acute malnutrition and hunger-related mortality is likely occurring. At the ground level, most of Tigray faces emergency outcomes. At a minimum, it is possible food security outcomes are even worse. To save lives, immediate action is needed to end the conflict and permit access for a scale-up of assistance. In Tigray, most households already face emergency or possibly worse outcomes at the area level, and concern has only increased in recent months as supplies into the region diminish. Millions of people continue to face devastating losses due to the conflict and have limited to no means of obtaining food. Conflict has notably declined since July across the region, except in southern Tigray along the border with Eritrea. Conflict has notably declined since July across the region, except in southern Tigray and along the border with Eritrea, but significant constraints on transportation of food and other necessities into the region have led to increasing concerns. While the summer harvest is ongoing, the limited harvest is not expected to lead to significant improvements in food access given conflict-related disruptions to the agricultural season. Market dependence remains high and stable food supplies are limited, leading to soaring prices, with September 2021 sorghum prices in Maqala over 40% higher than average. Humanitarian supplies within Tigray were depleted in August, and the only viable supply route into Tigray via Samara Abala Maqala Road is slow and encumbered with numerous barriers. According to the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Human Affairs, or OCHA, between mid-July and end of September, the number of trucks entering Tigray with food assistance was estimated only 10% of the need. Humanitarians also face considerable constraints delivering assistance to conflict-affected areas of Afar and Amhara, where emergency outcomes are now likely present in worse affected areas. Concern for northern Ethiopia has increased amidst widening conflict and limited delivery of assistance, and high levels of acute malnutrition and hunger-related mortality are anticipated. An end to the conflict and unfettered delivery of humanitarian assistance is urgently needed in northern Ethiopia to save lives.
Somalia rejects reconfigured AMISOM mandate change proposal. Somalia has rejected the proposal by the African Union to turn its peacekeeping force in Mogadishu into a hybrid mission, and what could set the stage for a battle for attention at the United Nations Security Council. 2 days after the AU Peace and Security Council endorsed the African Union mission in Somalia to transition into the United Nations financed mission, Mogadishu says the move does not meet the country's strategic events. While the AU organ had proposed the AMISOM stays on beyond January as the interim measure, it suggested that the UN Security Council approves a change from the current combat forces to a multidimensional AU-UN hybrid mission meant to address the security and institutional rebuilding from the country. The AUPSC said the dispatch on Sunday that this proposal was agreed on the 7th of October. This would see that AMISOM's troop contributors continue to play a role in the country beyond this year if the UN Security Council endorses this suggestion. It would also mean that AMISOM could get additional troops and that other technical personnel from the other countries beyond the current 5, including Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, Djibouti, and Burundi. Mogadishu had earlier rejected proposals for an independent experts report, which proposed 4 measures, including reheading to a hybrid mission, becoming multidimensional, but under AU continuing to serve as AMISOM or exiting the country within 6 months. Mogadishu argues that it doesn't need a vacuum, but wants an arrangement that supports its local security agencies to take over their responsibilities. AMISOM's mandate expires on the 31st of December, having initially been extended by the UN Security Council from February this year. The European Union, one of its initial key funders, has dried up its taps to trickle. Troop contributing countries had endorsed a hybrid format, saying it would guarantee funding and provide what they would call a force multiplier. The UN Security Council is expected to decide further of the mission within this month. That concludes our news for today. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.